Very good evening, friends. This side Rahul Magan here is a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting, and also a venture capitalist. As we speak, precisely on 15th July 2021, very early in Singapore mornings, I would like to bring a very important video for our subscribers. I know that the kind of videos we are making, people require, you know, politically motivated videos. When one politician is talking to another politician, one politician criticizes another politician, and all this. But we don't make videos like this. We made videos on the topic which is really justified. As we speak, there are variety of reports which we have on Google as far as the LIBOR transition is concerned. Variety of reports we have on Google, and especially from ARRC, Alternative Risk Reference Rate Committee. So basically in 2008, when the world financial crisis started, rather erupted, many people believe that it was a black swan event, but many people believe that it was not a black swan event, including me. Several warnings were given by various bankers in the US to then so-called Federal Reserve Governor, but majority of the warnings were ignored, completely ignored. In fact, I remember that 1 or 2 days before the world financial crisis, Federal Reserve Governor was in some conference and somebody asked him, do you see any kind of financial crisis? And he replied the same way, like, we don't see any financial crisis. Rest is history. Just like on 15th June 2021, Federal Reserve Chair Mr. Powell said that we would be going ahead with the tapering. Of course, we'll let you know, but we are going ahead with the tapering. And straight 1 month after, when Delta variant is spreaded around 104 countries of the globe as per World Health Organization, around 80% new cases in US are coming from Delta plus variant, and many cases are coming with the people, those who are fully vaccinated. The Federal Reserve today, during Mr. Powell's testimony to the House panel, changed his view. He said Fed is way off from easing. It means that out of top 4 central banks, which is Federal Reserve, European Central Bank, Bank of Japan, and People Bank of China, 4 by 4 they going with a dovish policy. So guys, we really need to understand that the people sitting at the top are not always right. Rather, most of the times they are not right. Sometimes they're being pushed by the system to go ahead, irrespective of the fact that system himself do not know where we are heading. In 2008 financial crisis, the LIBOR was rigged, London Interbank Offer Rate, and LIBOR was managed by BBA, British Banking Association. For India, BBA means Bachelors of Business Administration. That is the definition of BBA, but BBA means British Banking Association. There were a lot of manipulation happened in the LIBOR, and it looked like the BBA was aware about the same. Many top banks of the globe being fined. Unfortunately, nothing resolved, but the world decided to go ahead with the fresh rates, which now known as RFR, which is risk-free reference rate. I'm not saying that the no progress has been done. Definitely, a lot of progress has been done in that regards, and we need to value ARRC, Alternatively Risk Reference Rate Committee, for the work they did. There is no doubt about that. We need to value their work. But as we speak, there are multiple reports, some suggesting around $400 trillion worth of derivatives are linked to LIBOR. For your information, the global GDP is around 95 trillion US dollars, and the total derivatives is around 400 trillion, which precisely means 4 times. My estimation is that the total derivatives lying on LIBOR is more than 1000 trillion. Precisely, it's around 1700 trillion, which is 1.7 tera trillion. So 1 tera trillion is 1000 trillion. Because I don't believe that the world have only 400 trillion worth of derivatives when we have, which includes MBS, mortgage backed securities. Mortgage backed securities is the largest asset class in the world. If we include MBS, and by the way, majority of the MBS are priced using LIBOR, as having an assumption that 400 trillion worth of derivative including MBS, I can't digest this. Maybe others can digest that, to be honest. As we speak, we are having 9 reference rate. Like, one definitely is, and the leading one, to be honest, is SOFR, Secured Overnight Financing Rate. Another is GBP, Sonia, Sterling Overnight Index Average. Third is our best friend Euro, ESTR, Euro Short Term Rate. Fourth is TONA, Tokyo Overnight Average. One is coming from Australia, but not much famous, ONIA, Australia Overnight Index Average. One launched by Singapore, SORA, Singapore Overnight Rate Average Index. So in total we have 9. But leading one is definitely, no doubt, is SOFR, Secured Overnight Financing Rate. But there are multiple issues which we have, which I would like to bring in this discussion. Number one issue. Even if I go with the report which is there in the public domain, which suggests that around 400 trillion worth of derivatives are lying to LIBOR, by the way, the majority of the LIBOR denominated instrument is in the books of either US or European banks. Either US or European banks. And US and European banks are operationally very well. Of course, we recently are having an incident from Citibank, but operationally they would be able to handle the transition. Of course, I am ignoring the fallback language, and we definitely have one video on fallback language by ISDA, no doubt. Second biggest issue is that if we include Asian banks, and specifically Singaporean bank, Indonesian banks, Vietnamese banks, Taiwan bank, Indian banks, Pakistani banks, Philippine banks, Dubai banks, Hong Kong banks, I don't think that except 5 to 10% of these Asian banks, anyone is capable enough to operationally implement the movement from LIBOR to SOFR and plus 9 rates. In fact, I doubt whether RBI himself is aware of the fact that how much amount of LIBOR denominated contracts we are having in India, number one. So operational challenge is there, and I think US is definitely done with the operational challenge, but I doubt whether Asia would be able to handle this operational challenge. That is really a most important thing which we need to understand. More importantly, there are no guidelines which we have, any written or non-written guidelines which we have. Many banks have their treasury management systems, either Murex or Calypso, and I doubt whether these treasury management system are also ready to transit from LIBOR. More importantly, we have prop systems. Prop system means proprietary systems. That's also very important. And I doubt that with the so-called degrees like MBA, CFA, CPA, and all, they are offering any such thing. That is really most important to me. Another biggest issue is the fallback language. We once again need to appreciate the work done by ISDA. ISDA stands at International Swap and Derivative Association, and also work done by ARRC, Alternatively Risk Reference Rate Committee. But fallback language not yet ready completely. By the way, let me give you a simplistic example. What is fallback language and how it can create a big mess very soon in the financial system? Assuming treasury consulting is an exporter. Why assuming? We are an exporter in services, not in product. And we export our services outside India, outside Singapore, and get US dollar revenue. The US dollar revenue which we get is actually being hedged by the banks. Assuming we hedge in the deliverable market, as we are not a big player in non-deliverable as yet, it takes them some time. We need to sign an agreement with the bank, and that agreement is known as ISDA, International Swap and Derivative Association, MSA, Master Service Agreement. I repeat, ISDA Master Service Agreement. This Master Service Agreement needs to be signed with the banks, and currently we have 2005 ISDA Master Service Agreement. Okay, no worries. Of course, if I have any form of loan, which I don't now, assuming I have any loan, then it is priced on LIBOR, and all definitions are mentioned in ISDA. ISDA is divided into four parts. One is the original ISDA contract. Another is the ISDA, schedule to annex, which can be amended. Third is the RDS, risk disclosure statement. And fourth is the CSA, credit annex. Credit support annex. ISDA Master Service Agreement, Schedule to Annexure, ISDA Credit Support Annex, and NRDS, Risk Disclosure Statement. Guys, the question here is, if we move to SOFR, Cora, Taron, Saron, Sonia, ESTR, SORA, we need to amend the existing ISDA contracts with the customers. And I don't think this is easy. It looks very easy, but it is not at all easy. It is like vaccinating the whole globe, and we know that. In 2020, many so-called politicians said that we would be able to vaccinate our population. We know that even in the countries like Australia, around 10 to 12, 20% of the population is fully vaccinated. And even in the countries like Australia, which is very high standard educated society. But don't talk about Asia, right? So amending all ISDA contracts is definitely not easy. That's a fact. It looks easy. Even if I'm ready to amend the ISDA contract. I understand SOFR, Caron, Saron, Cora, and all, but who will make me understand if I do not know? 99.99% treasuries worldwide are running as a cost center, not as a profit center. So in short, there are a hell lot of challenges which we have as far as the LIBOR transition is concerned, and definitely the basic challenge from a bank side is the operational challenge. I don't think they are ready with this, to be honest. And second is the fallback language. Very soon we have a detailed video on the fallback language, but corona, COVID, which is a pandemic for the world, the LIBOR transition is definitely a big issue for the financial world. But there is limited text which is being written, nothing much is being written, and I don't know that why most of the people do not want it to talk, maybe because of the knowledge issue. But Treasury Consulting is completely focusing on the LIBOR transition. And to conclude that, we should not forget that we are here talking about more than 5,000 plus financial institutions only in US, Europe and Asia. How easy for the people or especially the regulators to transform these institutions? I don't know. This is Rahul from Treasury Consulting Group. You know our personal number, which is +91 9899 242 978. Have a great time ahead. Thank you.